Live from New York. No. We're gonna be talking about alien shit tonight, I guess. I probably couldn't make it. Let's see. So to start off with the weird of the weird,
A
I'm
sports
gonna
writer,
replay this
one of
clip.
the many following the motor racing circuit around Europe. But then, 8 years ago, something happened. Something that would change his life forever.
I was in this volcanic crater in the central plain in France. And I saw this light in the sky, a brilliant, blinding light. Then there was this machine, silver and shaped like a bell with a convex bottom. It came down very slowly and stopped about 30 meters from me. At the time, I thought it must be a flying saucer, you know, the kind we read about in the newspapers, and that it would leave the same way it had appeared. And I thought that I would just tell my journalist friends about it, and they wouldn't believe me and just laugh at me. But then a trap door opened at the bottom, and I saw 2 feet, and then 2 legs, and then a small man, about 1 meter 40, came out slowly and walked towards me. That was the most intense moment.
These drawings by Aurelian artist illustrate this strange story. The ship was manned by the Elohim, a race from a distant planet who, as part of an exotic experiment, had created mankind in its own image millions of years ago. The creature went on to say that he was Vorilon's true father and gave him a new name, Ra'el, the messenger.
Est-ce qu'il vous donnait?
Did they give you a mission to accomplish in the world?
Yes, the mission is the one that I'm doing now. That is, to bring revelation, to bring light to all men who used to believe. Either that they were created by a material God,
Remember that Ra'el calls
that
himself
life was born by
Maitreya.
chance from a drop of water.
Maitreya, just like the Baha'is.
And
Maitreya.
the fish came, monkeys, and finally man. But in fact, we were created by people like us. We were created in the laboratory by genetic manipulation, just as we're able to do now. My mission in life is to build an embassy where we'll be able to welcome them, where there will be diplomatic immunity, where we'll be able to greet them on Earth.
I'm told that you're the half-brother of Jesus Christ. Is that true?
Just like David Icke.
But how can that be?
Well, we have the same father, because Jesus was the son of an extraterrestrial and a woman from Earth. And about 35 years ago, they chose a woman on Earth, and with her, they had a child. And I'm that child, today.
There's some among us now on Earth.
No, they're observing us. They're permanently observing us, but they're not among us on Earth. Not at the moment.
Well, why don't they just come down now to prove their existence?
Just imagine if they came down to any center on Earth. There would be an indescribable panic.
But what about just for our
Could
camera?
make it as a race car
For your
driver.
cameras. It'll happen in the embassy, where all of the press from the world will be invited, including you. For this will be the most important event in the history of mankind. Humanity will finally meet its creators.
The Elohim. Yeah, that's one thing that I don't agree about Jordan Maxwell's study, because Jordan Maxwell says the same thing that that guy just said. The Elohim made man with DNA. I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, I like Jordan's work, but the fact that he says the same thing is very intriguing. And was he corrupted? Possibility. Oh, don't forget these every alien coming out of the pyramid. Yeah, no, I'm just joking. Aliens for Kamala. Yeah, I mean, the alien thing's getting big. Damn it, I forgot to upload one of those quotes. One of those fucking, where's that? Yeah. The whole July 4th, they're gonna say if there's aliens in it, supposedly.
Are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. You know?
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to.
He's
be
looking
doing
to the
that.
right when he
made
said he don't know.
He made a big
Real.
mistake. He took it out of classified
Your
information.
chain of
No,
interrogation.
I don't have an opinion on
Say
it.
if
I
the
never talk
person's
about
looking
it.
to the
A
right,
lot of people do.
that it
A lot
means
of
they're
people
lying.
believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well,
I'm
the
not saying
president can
aliens are real.
declassify anything that he wants to.
He
So
may
we want
get
to
him
make
out
an
of trouble.
announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal.
I mean, the whole thing about this whole alien stuff. I mean, can't forget this. The
Respected figure.
so
We've interviewed Dr. John Mack.
it's been going on for quite some time. This whole alien phenomenon. I think that the possibility of well, nah. I mean, if there's organ harvesting going on, it's definitely well, I'm not saying aliens are real, but I mean, there's definitely experiments going on. I think that aliens could be a cover for the experiments. Uh, basically, let's see. Yeah. So I find this interesting. This doctor, this hypnotist doctor, or whatever. He he was paid for by Rockefeller. I speculate that Rockefeller may suffer from alien abduction phenomenon if it's real, or that this guy was paid to brainwash people, and it's very strange because I mean it doesn't seem like he's a liar, but that's why it makes it
A
really
number of
strange.
times in the past years about nuclear nightmares,
This
about
dude,
Middle East politics, about
Dr.
mental health
John
services
Mack.
in Cambridge and Somerville, which he largely constructed and designed. The subject for which he is much more widely known this spring and summer and has taken a great deal of heat is the matter of human encounters with aliens. That's the subtitle of his book about the so-called abduction phenomenon. Almost 100 patients now have described to John Mack the experience of confronting furry little bubbleheads from spaceships, UFOs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I
He
should
says
give
something
the
is
theory
happening.
first. So, if aliens aren't real, which I'm assuming is the case, that the people are experimented on, and that the experiments are that they're brainwashed into believing that they're that they've experienced alien abduction phenomenon, and then they're I mean they possibly have like two layers of brainwashing. Uh, but so it's possible that what they're saying to this Dr. John Mack is that is something that was programmed into their minds, because I noticed something that they said that was detrimental, because he says in this video, I'm pretty sure this is the one, he says that the alien abduction phenomenon, people say they have to go back to source, which is a literal occult phraseology of the fucking consciousness alien cults. And so I speculate that I speculate there could be a fast one being pulled on this psychologist if he truly believes what he's saying. I think that they're pulling a fast one on him. They might have hired him as some kind of supposed, some kind of outer source that would verify their fucking conspiracy and make people believe it's real. That it could all be psychological game, and that the fucking that fucking what he's saying, he may believe what the people are saying, but it's possible that the people are part of a program where they have been hypnotized into believing what they are saying. If you catch the drift. Okay, so back to this.
Here, something with meaning for all of us. Dr. Mack, I read your book with great interest on every page. But I also felt, as particularly the 13 case histories were recounted, every one of them sounded to me as if it could be explained as a dream. Call it a vision, maybe a delusion, but a dream. I wonder if you can explain those moments when patients or clients told you stories in a way that you said and had to say to yourself, this is something else.
Often the people themselves will hold it as a dream. They'll say, I had this dream of these beings that came into my room, or
I was sleeping.
Well, that's the question. You know, I say, well, tell me about the dream. For example, Sheila, who was in the book, talked about electrical dreams. Well, I said, tell me about in which she saw these little figures in the room. Well, tell me about this electrical dream. In fact, I talked with her as recently again about it a couple of days ago. And what she describes is lying in her bed at home, but not asleep. And I've gone over that with her many times. These beings came into the room. She felt this humming in her ears, she heard this humming in her ears, felt this tingling, this vibratory feeling in her body, and saw these little figures around her with these huge eyes, and she was frightened. This is an occurrence that took place about 9 years ago. And she made a particular point. I wasn't actually asking her this, but she made a particular point in another context of saying, I was not asleep. I was wide awake when this happened.
I've had that experience. I used to call them waking nightmares. After I'd broken a leg, I was about 12 years old, and I was absolutely awake and had a distinct sense of a presence in the room. I forget what they looked like, but my father, and in fact the doctor, explained it as a sort of post-shock response of the body. I was encouraged not to worry about it, never came back. What made it meaningful in the case of Sheila?
Either possibilities that they're ghosts or demons or something.
When somebody describes a state of consciousness, you quiz them on it, you press them on it. How do you know you're awake? I was clearly awake. This happened to me. They experience it as an occurrence, as a narrative, completely different than dreams they've had. In other words, I spend a lot of time going over these experiences with people and how are they distinct from dreams. And they're very clear about that. A dream is something that has a sense of unreality. They wake up from it, they look back, they know that this was a dream. In the case of these experiences, they feel that this is something that has really happened to them. Whether it happened to them in the state of consciousness with which we are familiar, which we call ordinary waking state, or some other state of consciousness, I don't know. We have very limited language for talking about consciousness, but clearly it is not a sleep state to them. It is a state of being awake, present. This is really happening. It follows a course. There's a narrative, a beginning, an end, and afterwards, when they reflect upon it, they recall it like a real experience, and they distinguish that
like that. And I think a lot of people have.
Well,
the first case history in the book, a young man recalled his sleeping in a nash in Algonquin, Maine, had a dream, sounded like a wet dream, seemed very, very familiar. I was troubled by that lack of a clear border between dreams and what you proceed to call abduction experiences.
They have, the narratives are very complex. They are consistent among different people. They involve going up into the ships. They involve experiences which they are not familiar with in the literature or in the media. They follow a consistent course. Dreams are rather individual, as you know. You have a dream, it's your dream. And when you hear that 90 people or whatever number of people have had very similar dreams with a text quite like yours, and then when you compare that with someone else, you're shocked, you're disturbed, because that disturbs your equilibrium. You thought this was your private story, and then you become
Sorry, I just paused to cough. I'm just kidding. So if there was a program of secret experiments on people, the best way to cover it up would be to make them believe. You gotta remember, the government's cheap, even though they spend all this money on everything. The fucking they're not gonna if they were going to brainwash all these people to believe in the alien abduction phenomenon, they're not going to have a different story for each person. They're just going to tell them the same fucking shit.
Affected by the fact that that other person had the same set of events, saw the same beings, was in the ship, had the same instruments. Dreams, in my experience, aren't like that. Dreams are quite idiosyncratic. They may have common symbolic elements, but they certain trees, certain...
I want to challenge you on that. I mean, in a sense, for example, everybody I know has had the dream of showing up for an important interview or a test or something, and your pants aren't on, or you're naked. We don't conclude, and that is a sort of universal dream, or people who've gone to college and wake up in their 50s saying, or thinking, having a dream that they forgot to study for that biology course that they had forgotten they signed up for. I still have dreams like that.
But this is different. Yeah, go ahead.
But all I mean to say is that a common dream theme doesn't make, in my sense, doesn't give the dream material any reality. The thing that puzzles me most in the book is that you speak of aliens' abduction experiences as if they were the real thing. And I read the book and I say, no. There's no aliens in this story. It's just people dreaming of aliens, like people dreaming of going to the prom, without their pants on.
I mean, you can keep calling it a dream, and yet it doesn't have the characteristics of a dream as I experience it. For example, many of the cases occur during the daytime. People are driving a car.
And if they were under hypnosis, then it wouldn't have the characteristics of a dream. Remember that hypnosis, the person can be hypnotized and there can be a memory implanted into them which they will experience in the future. It could be 20 years from the date of the hypnosis. It could be 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how far it is, because they can implant the idea and make it go as far as they want. So somebody could have an idea hypnotically implanted. 50 years goes down the road, all of a sudden they think they're fucking Donald Duck. You know what I mean?
Several people will have the same experience. John Carpenter, who's a psychiatric social worker in Missouri, has a dozen cases where he's interviewed people independently and they tell precisely the same story of what happened to them on the ship. In one pair, he has over 40 elements that correspond exactly of details that occurred on the ship or in the ship. Dreams are not like that in my experience. And also you have all these other corroborating elements, the physical findings that go along with it, the cuts, the scoop marks, the lesions on the people's bodies that they report afterwards.
Those cuts and lesions and scoop marks would all correlate to illegal medical procedures.
The independent
all explainable
association.
to me, it seemed, in alternative ways, not necessarily dismissible, but explainable in other ways.
Well, then you get into the question of what our own mindsets are. I mean, okay, it reaches a point where I'm not going to argue about
Right.
it. In other words, if people are witnessing UFOs, for example, there's one of the cases, Catherine, where I recently reported early in March of '91 an abduction experience in Saugus, north of Boston, and recently she was shocked because a scientist independently investigated what was then called a meteor, but which behaved like a UFO because it moved in all kinds of different directions, different than a meteor, and followed the course just where she had been independently. He followed all the different media reports of this tracking of this object, and it corresponded precisely to where one of its places, to where she experienced her abduction. When she heard about this, she was shocked, upset, because again, like you're doing, each of these people, and I too, holds this reserve in their mind. This can't be. This is just not possible in our reality. And it may not be true, and yet it keeps consistently reports that I can't explain come up. And so then I begin to look at ourselves, and I say, well, all right, I can't argue this on the basis of
In one of the videos, I don't remember if it's this one, but he says, and this is common with people that have been hypnotized, he says, when he asks them about what the interior of the craft looked like, they would say it was seamless, and that if somebody had a memory implanted of going into a spaceship, but there was no details hardly of the memory, then there, of course, it would all be blank.
Evidence totally, because it's subtle, it's consistent, it's powerful to me, but it's not evidence that would satisfy the
Right,
mindset that we have. So then I say, well, wait a minute. Is there maybe something in the way we look at reality, or the way what we require in the way of evidence to change our point of view about something? Is there something about us? In other words, maybe there is nothing in the way of evidence that would satisfy us. Maybe it would require some kind of shift from within ourselves, some stretching to meet something, which to me is a powerful, unexplained phenomenon.
Let's agree that the evidence itself is not absolutely conclusive, one way or the other. I'm as much interested by now, especially because the book has been out a while, in what you've learned, what we've learned, about the argument, about the resistance to your view, about the tremendous enthusiasm in certain parts of the media for...
Well, remember that if the people that he was interviewing were hypnotized, and that he was just trying to simply be a professional, because it's possible that Rockefeller paid him on purpose to do it, just to cover up illegal human experimentation that could have possibly been done theoretically by the person that paid him.
Your view. It gets a great hearing on talk radio. It gets a very hard put down in some of the critical press, including the news magazine.
Because it could be. See, you got to think like this. You can never be too paranoid, ever. I mean, unless you're like fucking vacuuming the yard or something, then maybe you should.
And the New Republic. What do you make of the resistance so far? Why is the world so determined, including me, not to deal with this not to deal with these stories as fact or as truth?
Well, if this is true, then it shatters just about everything that we've come to believe, that intelligence cannot manifest within the universe, or if it does, it doesn't cross over and show up in the physical world, that there's a sacred barrier that we've created over 300 years now between the mythic world, the world of the imagination, the world of dreams, if you will, the world of spirit.
Who says we don't believe in that stuff?
Well, some people do. I mean,
But
that may be the fraction of the culture that accepts this. I mean, that there is a fraction that says, well, of course there could be all kinds of intelligences, and that they could take any odd form, and this particular form may have found its way to enter into our physical reality.
But thousands of people by now have gone to Lourdes to see, the site of the miracle of Our Lady of Lourdes. It's not as if our culture, our Western European American culture, doesn't believe in that stuff. We do believe. I mean, it's essential in the Judeo-Christian tradition, the notion of an interventionist God, a real God to whom people pray, a God who performs miracles at the Red Sea, but in a lot of individual lives, a healing God. I wonder, in that sense, if you don't overestimate the reign of
destroyer God,
scientific materialistic thought in the world.
Yes, and from those, I mean, for example, I discussed this with Tibetan Buddhists, this phenomenon, and they said, high lamas, and they had no trouble appreciating.
But what about Orthodox rabbis or Catholic priests?
I haven't particularly discussed it with that group, but the point is, we're dealing with a culture in which the demand for physical evidence before something is called real is very strong, and it's in that segment that I can't meet the argument. So is that my evidence is largely psychological, and as I make a certain assessment clinically that these are encounters, experiences, a detailed narrative.
But see, if they were hypnotized, and his psychological analysis could not be accurate.
Reported with intense feeling among people that strike me as quite healthy and who I've done extensive psychological workups on and psychiatric workups on, and I can't account for their having these experiences, and there are associated corroborating pieces of physical evidence. Now, as a package, there is something powerful here that seems to me quite mysterious. I can't account for it. Now, does that mean it's going to convince somebody that wants the smoking gun, dinner plate off of a UFO? No, it's not. But then the whole universe, as we understand subatomic matter, is probabilistic, is variable, is wave in one context, particle in another. There are uncertainties, but there's as far as I talk with these individuals, something is entering into our world powerfully that, whether we say it comes from their psyches or it comes from the outside world. I mean, Thomas Kuhn asked me even to suspend that category of outside and inside. It may be all corresponding in some way.
Have you ever seen faith healing? I mean, I'm not talking about anything terribly exotic. I mean, there was a Father McDonough who did a great deal of it at the Mission Church in Boston, may still be doing it for all I know. But I've seen people come up on crutches and walk away on their own 2 feet.
Well, but again,
is that related?
No, but I mean, again, if you're going to need to have some evidence that the person really was healed, that this really occurred. I mean, and there's gathering evidence going along here that people have in fact had these physical encounters, the association with the UFOs that have been independently seen. I mean, there's a gathering body of evidence in this field. Now, it's not robust enough to satisfy the purely physical demand for evidence, but
is it more or less real than the experience of healing by faith, do you think?
I mean, that's a whole other area. I don't know. I haven't studied that enough to know. I mean, you say you know about that.
I don't know much about it, but
these strike me as people. I mean, I haven't studied the people that have been healed by faith. These are not the kind of people that would be subjectively give way to that kind of thing, as I understand it, but I don't know enough about it. These are very hard-headed, critical people who don't believe this themselves, who are not looking for it, who don't want it to be so, who are unhappy that it's so. It's not healing anything for them. They have nothing to gain by it. They don't want to come on the media. They don't say they've been helped, healed. They wish it weren't so. I mean, it's not. It isn't a phenomenon like that.
I want to change the subject a little bit, but to another area that kept coming back in my mind. There's a subtext sort of from the encounters and from the aliens that there's a warning, a kind of biblical prophecy warning that capitalism, warfare is destroying the planet, and sort of get serious about this, that people come away with that sort of moral. I kept wondering, what if the message from the aliens was stop communism, or buy Oldsmobiles, for that matter? What if or maybe what if it was simply in an old-fashioned way, repent? Or what if the message was, praise God and love your neighbor? Isn't the message itself a little too easy, and in that sense suspect?
Yeah, but you're reducing it to a kind of absurdity. I mean, the message comes through in a certain context where there is a global crisis. There is these are not people that are particularly environmentally oriented, and yet they're shaken by this powerful communication about what is happening to the planet, and they.
I mean, he's getting his money from Rockefeller.
The kind of people that would necessarily come up with that, and that is a subtext, and it is framed, and it is coming across in a way that is highly relevant to the reality of our time. I mean, it's not those other things, because it is what it is, and that's
no, but I think you could also
it's not
say,
a simple message either.
No, but reading it, I could also see that what the message to these people,
let me bring up
that we all kind of intuitively understand is
the founder of the Earth Day movement was a murderer. They try to say in modern times that it wasn't really him that founded it, that was just his friend. But no, the Earth Day guy fucking was a murderer. and that fucking there's fucking some of those Earth people are fucking fanatics. They're insane, insane in the membrane. Fucking
is things can't go on this way. I mean, whether that's real or an unreal warning, we always have that feeling in one fashion or another, things can't go on
But so
this
it's
way.
consistent with a lot that we already know.
But it's also a kind of banality. It's almost sort of an empty warning.
Well, if you reduce it to an empty warning, it's an empty warning. If you feel it deep in your tissues as something the most powerful kind of communication that you can imagine, and it's full of elaboration and subtlety and images, and you feel it in your body, then it's not banal. I mean, it's banal if you reduce it to a kind of environmentalist homily or something of that kind. But as experienced and as the people go through it, it's not banal at all. It shakes up people from every part of the culture when they go through this.
No, but to me, the whole story would be, of an
Could be
alien message,
brainwashed.
would be more convincing if the message weren't so obvious. The message is really pretty, and if it weren't, in a certain way, so consistent with John Mack's politics and John Mack's
it's consistent
worldview.
with anybody's politics or worldview because we all know what we're dealing with, and it's a certain, maybe in the sense that it taps our own unconscious, our own consciousness, or the inside-outside relationship, which is in some ways in harmony with each other. In other words, that perhaps it is in some way tapping into some deep unconscious force, and that we know into our very bones.
I think we all know. We do know. We don't need aliens to tell us.
Well,
we ought to simplify our lives.
Well,
we ought to live. You know.
But so what? I mean, so you say we don't need the aliens to tell us that, but I'm reporting what goes on. The fact that you say we don't need it is irrelevant to the situation. This is what I'm reporting. You can say we don't need it. Okay, so you say we don't need it. I mean, let's do it for ourselves. Let's find all the other. Let's put this together with all the environmental scientists that are telling us the same thing. The government policymakers that are telling us the same thing. The corporate leaders that are absolutely committed to sustainable kinds of construction
a
on
bunch
the
of those
planet. There's
big
all sorts of
corporations fucking dump so much
nobody,
shit.
surely not me, is going to say, well, because this is the
Remember,
experience of abductees in their encounter.
he's a psychiatrist. He's not a. He doesn't understand the rest of the world.
Therefore, that has some special environmental power. It's one other reminder. It's one kind of set of experiences, data, encounters, whatever you want to call it, that goes along with what we basically deep down know.
No, but if the subtext of this whole book is A, tune into another kind of reality and a more mysterious sort of spirituality, and B, stop destroying the planet with technology and warfare, why, and if the aliens are in a certain sense a kind of metaphor of warning, why confuse it all with the story of UFOs of which we've never seen a good photograph?
I don't know. I'm telling you, this is what we have. I mean, you're saying, why should this be? I don't know. I don't know who the aliens are. I don't know who their handlers are. I don't know who our handlers are. You're trying to, I think, reduce this to sort of the...
Remember that thing about one of those interviews? He said that the alien abductees are saying, we must go back to source. It's exactly what the consciousness cults say. It's not a coincidence.
Kind of way we think about things, sort of rationalist way. Let's get this. It should go the way we think about it.
Also, keep in mind that most of the consciousness cults are all very secretive. So, would their members tell their psychiatrist, "Hey, I'm a member of blah blah blah. I'm a member of this"? No, they're not going to tell them. They're going to tell them if they're a member of the Scottish Rite. They're going to tell them if they're fucking, whatever.
Things, and I don't think
because
it does.
I think, in fact, I want to consider myself wide open to all manner of spirituality and mystery.
Yeah.
But I also think that we all feel warnings, whether in dreams or visions or not, that and always have, that we should repent. We should honor God, honor our Creator,
Mach
live
3.
our
Yeah, but
lives
you're
better.
reducing it to kind of banal homilies. I mean, this comes across sometimes with great intensity, subtlety, complexity, richness to these individuals who are not often
And unprovability, you'd
even-
also have to say.
What?
And unverifiability, you'd also have to say.
Yeah, I mean, but it's a communication from some place, whether it's from their unconscious. They're not the kind of people that would be thinking this way on their own. Something is reaching them, and it's not from the media. I mean, I don't know what the source of it is, but
we never know. I mean,
but
I
you
know.
say, well, why isn't it done a
These
different way?
famous
Why
beasts
why
are
doesn't it
retarded.
show up in some more gross way? I don't know. I mean, I know what I report, but I don't know the answers to why it isn't some other way.
I know a poet who described rather vividly on television feeling a sort of a poem coming on. He drove off the road and wrote it right down never changed a word of it. Hadn't thought about it before. He must have been thinking about all his life. It was about a childhood experience of a swing and on a walnut tree.
Yeah.
Well, that
There was
doesn't
no
sound very
explaining
wise.
exactly why all the words and the meters came together at that moment, but he didn't have to resort to a notion of alien creatures or UFOs to explain, to account for the onset of this explosion of insight.
Well, I've actually talked with artists and musicians who do not credit their own unconscious for the source of their material. They say it is there, it is present in the universe. And one composer who was a friend of mine described this like a stream that runs through, that is in the universe, and that he like takes cups of it, but it's not from him. It's someplace in a larger reality.
Johannes Brahms spoke almost in exactly those terms of being at one with the Maker, letting God in effect write his symphonies.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't have any problem with that language.
That this in some way comes from some other more spiritual place. What is particular about this, seems to me, is that it has this kind of teasing hard edge of physical reality with the UFOs, with the lesions on people's bodies, with the reports that people are actually missing during these experiences. Again, not physical penetration to the point where it's going to satisfy us that it's proof or that it's adequate evidence within our material framework, but it has. I think it's that which has gotten us to notice this phenomenon, that it does have this kind of consistency of narrative and these associated physical elements in it, and that's. That's what I wanted. What makes this? Never mind John Mack, and I'm a recent chronicler of it, but this has been. We've been struggling with this. It's been in the media. There have been mini-series, there have been movies. Travis Walton, who's an ordinary guy, a regular guy,
I
a
do want to
logger
focus
down
on
in
John Mack.
Well,
because you are in a certain sense the verifier of this whole idea for a lot of people. One woman said to you, she dismissed these things as nightmares until she saw Harvard after your name and thought, well, that man's worth talking to. Other people have wondered if you didn't have Harvard by your name, whether would even be talking about it.
But there's been a great interest in this culture and this phenomenon long before John Mack got involved, from Bud Hopkins, from David Jacobs. And they, in fact, I think more than I, believe this is happening, this baby project is happening literally in the physical world as we know it. I have some question about that. But this has been unsolved mysteries. Granted, my getting into this meant that it's being looked at more in the center of the culture, and that's happening. And there's this discussion. We're having this dialogue, and that's to the good. But I don't want to be put in the position of claiming more for this than it deserves. In other words, I think it is provocative. It's important in the sense that it makes us think. There's something occurring which I don't think can be accounted for in simple ways with dreams or fantasy or cultural delusion or something like that. But I don't know what it is.
Fair enough. I don't know what more to add.
Hypnosis. That's the most. That's Occam's razor would say that it's hypnosis. Hypnosis. Occam's razor. Yeah, fucking AI sucks. I wrote like 5 paragraphs to make that happen. Same with this. It's garbage ass. Yeah, then I tried to have it make this a new version of the intro from like Lynn Cooper's shit with the marching and the dogs and the sirens, but that didn't work out either. Okay, yeah, which one do I got here first? All right, we're gonna review some alien shit.
Tonight, from America's heartland, something fell from the sky here 25 years ago that many still claim was an alien spacecraft snatched up by our military.
Every question I ever had about UFOs was under that canvas.
Then, this peaceful countryside is the hideout for a paranormal entity so evil, it's haunted this family for
I'm
a
probably gonna
decade.
skip that part. Just watch the first half.
Tim White. One of the most puzzling and controversial UFO sightings in U.S. history occurred nearly 27 years ago in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. To this day, many people who have studied this sighting believe there is a continuing government cover-up of what really happened in 1965. As I discovered on my trip to Kecksburg, some believe the UFO was a meteor, others that it was an alien spacecraft, and still others that it was all an elaborate hoax. Kecksburg used to be just like a lot of other small villages in western Pennsylvania. But in 1965, Kecksburg lost its anonymity when it became one of the world's most famous UFO landing sites.
I happened to look up in the sky and I seen this red fireball.
It sure wasn't a meteor, because I've seen them fall before. I never seen any of them with blue lights on.
And it looked like it made a turn and come back again. And when it come back, it seemed like it went down.
It was December 9th, 1965, a night that many townspeople will never forget.
I got my flashlight and I started down through the woods up to where it was at.
There was no wings, there was no tail section, there was no motors, there was no windows, there was no doors. It was big enough for a grown person to stand up in.
It had like Egyptian writing, like backwards writing on it.
Stars and circles and dashes and lines and things like that.
It looked like an acorn.
It was really weird.
Some claim the UFO wasn't the only thing to arrive that night.
It wasn't too much longer. Down through the woods come two gentlemen. The one gentleman, very ramrod straight, very authoritative voice, crew-cut hair. I mean, he just reeked of military. He looked at the object and looked at us. He says, all right, this is now a restricted area. You are all ordered out of here.
Some military people come to the house and just said they'd like to use the phone. They sort of took the house over.
We started talking among ourselves, what's going on. About that time, up here on the road, comes a big flatbed truck in.
The flatbed went down and empty, and it come back out with something on the back of it covered up about the size of a Volkswagen.
That truck was hell-bent for leather, and if you'd have walked out on that road, you'd have still been there, because they'd have scraped you up with a putty knife. They weren't stopping for anything or anybody.
Jesus.
And that began the real mystery of this whole thing.
27 years later, what happened down there in that woods surrounded by fields, if anything happened down there at all, is still a matter of bitter controversy.
You've got this town split into two groups. You got the believers and the non-believers.
There's been some friendship lost, and it's foolish as far as I'm concerned.
I have a brother-in-law that he hasn't spoke to me for 2 years, said that I lied about everything, but I never lied about a thing.
You got neighbors and neighbors that has known each other all their life. Now they don't want to talk because one believes it and one don't believe it.
Just as the town is divided, so too are experts who have researched what really happened in Kecksburg. Planetary expert Robert Young believes that some citizens may have perpetrated a hoax. He claims the UFO was merely a meteor known to have passed over Ontario and several northern states that evening.
Virtually all of the accounts can be explained by people having looked toward and seeing the Ontario meteor.
How about the accounts, though, of the military that turned out in large numbers, kept people away from going down there, a truck that went down into the area and came out? You got eyewitnesses that say, this happened.
Right, I understand it. I have
Fading on the meteor.
signed eyewitness accounts from 61 local people who say that there was nothing crashed here or was recovered. There was no military occupation.
A lot of people probably think you're the government.
Well, sure, yeah, but I'm not.
They might have been hypnotized to not see something.
Nothing ever happened when there was so many people that saw things that night. Something had to happen.
I know what I saw, and I'm not going to deny it. They can tell me I'm lying, but I know that I seen the military in my house that night.
Freedom of Information Act states there was 212 military personnel here that night.
Sightings attempted to speak with the Kecksburg residents who deny anything extraterrestrial ever happened here, but they all refused our invitation to talk. Even the landowner whose property was the alleged crash site remained silent.
I think the government bought them off, or threatened them with something that got them scared half to wits.
Ironically, their refusal to talk has only deepened the controversy. UFO researcher Stan Gordon heard about the Kecksburg incident on the radio the night it allegedly happened in 1965. He's been investigating the sighting ever since.
So much of what we know about the case now, we've learned since about 1987, with the fact that now we have at least 4 different eyewitnesses who apparently saw the object on the ground at Kecksburg. The fact that there are dozens of people independent of each other who don't even know each other yet, who have given us detailed information about what they experienced and saw that night. And they're giving us confirming information that has not been published yet.
The skeptics, and these include the people who own the land and some very substantial citizens of Kecksburg, think that this whole thing is loony. Why do they feel so strongly the other way?
Could be that some of these people were in the wrong place at that time. They were in a position where they didn't see what was going on. And if you see the geography of the area and where the majority of people were that night, they could not have seen the military activity that was happening on the land on the other side of the area down there.
Do you have any hard evidence at all that what went down in the woods near Kecksburg was something other than a meteor, or was anything at all?
Unfortunately not. As in so many of these cases, you have to go by the eyewitness accounts. And in this case, the eyewitness accounts are very, very strong. And again, unfortunately, we don't have that type of information. If this was the case, whether it be a space probe or in other UFO cases, sure, if we had the physical hardware, the mystery would be over.
What do you think it is?
What do I think it is? At this point, and again, this is not conclusive, at this point, the weight of evidence would point in the direction that this may have been a Soviet space probe.
If the object were proven to be a Soviet space probe, then many questions would be answered. If a Soviet device landed in Kecksburg, the government would have been required by international treaty to recover and return immediately any space debris to the country of origin. But retired Army Sergeant Clifford Stone doesn't believe
I mean, I think that old guy would know what.
If this was of Soviet origin
like.
in 1965, the State Department would have released documentation to me under their Moondust files. To date, none of that information has been forth.
Clifford Stone collects government documents about space debris recovery operations, like Project Moondust and Project Blue Fly. He began his investigations in 1965, when, as an Army sergeant, he witnessed a top-secret delivery to Lockbourne Air Force Base, about 200 miles from Kecksburg.
I noticed that on the back of the vehicle, it had something that was covered by a tarp. It was about
I've seen pictures like
10
that.
to 12 foot at the base, 12 foot
Over
tall.
the years.
It looked like a chocolate drop. When my friend told me that every question I ever had about UFOs was under that canvas, I was mystified.
Since that time, Stone has repeatedly attempted to obtain information from the government regarding that object. Each time, the government's response has been the same.
They have taken the stance, by direction of the President of the United States, we may neither confirm nor deny the existence or non-existence of any information that all involve the recovery of unknowns.
Kecksburg remains a town divided. The only thing on which believers and non-believers can agree is that all they want to know once and for all is what really happened on December 9th, 1965. What would you like to see happen next?
It's time now, after 27 years, that the public has the right to know the true facts, regardless of what the object was or what really occurred. Something came down from numerous eyewitness accounts to a lot of military activity into this small village, that an object was located, that it was recovered, it was transported away for study. What was the object, and why after 27 years haven't they revealed what really was found?
Joining us now from Houston is spaceflight engineer and author James Oberg, who has studied the reported sighting in Kecksburg and has his own theory about what landed there in 1965. Mr. Oberg, first of all, do you believe that something crashed in Kecksburg in 1965? And was it a UFO?
If it's anything, it might be something a lot more Earth-like. It might be a spacecraft from Russia and not from Mars. It turns out we do know that a Russian probe fell back to Earth that day. And it was a special kind of probe. It was one of their probes to the planet Venus. It failed, was trapped in Earth orbit, and eventually fell out of orbit.
What might have been on that Russian space probe that the U.S. would have been so interested in?
Oh, the most important thing about the probe would be the heat shield. How thick it was, what material it was made out of, how heavy it was. And once we knew that, we could then analyze how big their warheads would be in their ICBMs. The same kind of material was used there. Also, their most advanced electronics would be in that probe. Their most heat-resistant kinds of materials, the very best of their entire military-industrial complex technology. It would have been a treasure trove in terms of the Russian space and missile technology.
Do you think we will ever know with certainty what really happened in Kecksburg?
Well, I guess the dream is that someone will come forward with an official government report. It might exist, it might not. 20, 30, 40 years ago, people's memories, as you know, tend to keep changing and growing as the stories get told and retold. I think there's lots of stories in UFO folklore that we'll never really know what happened behind them. That's the fascination.
James Oberg, thank you very much for joining us.
Good night.
And we'll be back with more sightings in just a moment.
Coming up next, a sinister entity has haunted this family for
not that junk food isn't delicious. I mean,
controversial subjects. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
More alien shit.
Tonight on Sightings, thousands of Americans may have been abducted and sexually abused by extraterrestrials.
I'm one of those few men who knows what a woman feels like when she's raped.
We reveal their frightening motives. Then we uncover the U.S. military's own top-secret UFOs hidden in the Nevada desert.
We have things out there that are literally out of this world.
Sightings. At first, only a few people claimed to have been forcibly taken away by extraterrestrials. But now, so many people have come forward with similar stories that alien abduction can no longer be written off as the fantasies of a very few.
I looked up in my rearview mirror, and lights were coming down out of the sky.
I walked out to the edge of the water, and I noticed this huge, shining thing.
I was so terrified looking into these big black eyes and these little creatures. I was thinking I could just raise my fist and crush his head. And exactly at that moment, I became paralyzed.
It's the kind of fear that I've only experienced one other time, and that's when I was robbed and I had a gun at my head, and that's the kind of fear it is.
I thought that I was dying. I'm dying now. This is what it's like when you die.
The visions often come during sleep. Nightmares about being abducted, probed, and prodded by aliens who have sinister motives. Hundreds of people have come forward to talk about their disturbing experiences and admit that they think their nightmares are real. Experts believe that there are thousands, perhaps even millions more just like them, who are too afraid to talk. In Secret Life, author David Jacobs chronicles the abduction phenomenon.
We have hundreds and thousands of people who are coming forward and saying that the abduction phenomenon has happened to them, that they've experienced it, and basically they say the same thing as everybody else has said, and until recently, there was no possibility that they could have picked up these stories in the media.
Since she was a baby, commercial photographer Kim Carlsberg has been plagued by memories of abduction.
At 4:30 in the morning, I saw this image of these four beings just move through this wall. They just, like it wasn't there. And they came over to me, two at my feet, two at my head, and they started to lift me up to the ceiling.
Most abductions take place where a person is taken out of the normal environment, they're taken against their will, they have physical, mental, reproductive procedures performed on them, and then they're released.
Bud Hopkins has been researching alien abduction reports for 26 years and is a firm believer.
I'm the first to admit that all this sounds outrageous.
We know he's the one hypnotizing them.
And yet the evidence is there behind it.
But skeptic Philip Klass believes mass media is to blame for the rise in abduction reports.
Dozens of talk shows, dozens of other TV shows have promoted this idea that aliens are here and abducting human beings. And so it becomes the popular myth.
These particular problems could adequately be explained by the condition narcolepsy.
This is a disorder characterized by hypnagogic hallucinations, that's hallucinations that occur at sleep onset, which can be very vivid and include the feeling of other people being present in the room or a sensation of levitation. Patients will actually describe saying that they are looking down onto their body.
I have two people that I've never met describing this exact same examination of their head being opened up, something being done to their brain, and being put back together again.
They opened my back. I knew my back was open because I could feel. It was almost as though a slit had been drawn down my back and across to the side, and they had opened a flap of flesh and tissue.
Whether the reports come from adults or children, men or women, most of them follow similar patterns.
There's a bright light that shines in the room. The abductee sees it. They hear a noise outside.
They're not interested in your mate, they're interested in you. So what they do is they render the person that you're with unconscious.
She goes up a beam of light with the alien into a hovering craft. If anyone goes into the room at that point, there's no one in the room. She's not in bed. In other words, the person is literally missing.
You find yourself on a table and these creatures around you with instruments, and you have no idea what they're doing, and they don't tell you.
My skin was sliced like with a surgical instrument.
When a person is abducted, it's a physical examination. The focus of the entire enterprise seems to me to be unmistakably on reproductive issues.
They have a mission, a job to do, and they're doing their job with little respect to their subjects.
90% of reported abductions involve descriptions of what experts call gray aliens, extraterrestrial creatures with oversized heads and dark almond-shaped protruding eyes. Less common are insect-like or reptilian creatures.
The reptilian type has bothered a lot of people. It seems to be quite hostile and intrusive, often has claw-like hands, and I know there's one case where claw marks were photographed on the back of a woman.
There's one being in particular that I always recognize, and he's not a gray. He's taller, he's thinner, he's got a bigger head, he's got bigger eyes. His limbs are very praying mantis-like. I remember being on the table with my head turned away, not wanting to look at this creature. And then when I looked at him, I just recognized him as the one that I hated.
In a few cases, subjects claim to see hybrids, creatures who are half human, half alien. Some abductees believe they are being crossbred with aliens to create these hybrids.
A very important part of the abduction phenomenon is that there are reproductive procedures carried out upon them.
I've been shown children, I've been shown babies. I've been asked to hold children and babies. I've been asked to give these children affection. And these children aren't alien children.
You might have been brainwashed.
They're somewhere in between.
I had a woman who had been to the doctor, had an ultrasound done. Her husband was there. Everyone observed at 3 months a healthy fetus. The next day she wakes up screaming. They took it. Is so upset, her husband takes her back to the doctor. He does a pregnancy test, finds out she's no longer pregnant. They do a D&C, there's nothing there. The most humiliating thing that happened to me is they put a cylindrical sort of thing over my genitals, and it made me have an orgasm in a second. And I really feel like I'm one of those few men who knows what a woman feels like when she's raped.
I've been on a table and I've seen something removed from my body that I will call a fetus, a baby. It was so small I couldn't believe that it could live on its own. I remember putting my finger in the arch of its foot. I was afraid to look at the face. I was afraid to see what it looked like.
There seems to be an enormous interest in the emotional side of this, too, on the part of the aliens. They want us to hold these odd little children, these babies. They want to see how a mother will hold and love a child, things which to us are instinctive.
The abduction phenomenon begins usually in infancy, or at least by the age of 2, 3, or 4. It continues all through childhood, all through maturity, and into old age as well.
I have many cases where the person is taken as a child, usually what we refer to as the bedroom visitation.
I was laying in bed, I opened my eyes, and here's a little gray standing there looking at me. And all I could really remember were those dark eyes.
It is as if that person has become a kind of tagged animal in someone else's experiment. And that little person, as they as he or she grows to adulthood, will be abducted over a period of time at irregular intervals.
Let us assume that this is all being made up, that this is internally generated, that there is no abduction phenomenon. If that's the case, then we have discovered something of enormous importance.
What are the repercussions of thousands of people running around thinking they're crazy, feeling crazy, being crazy, because they have no way to understand what's happening?
Psychiatrists and psychologists who are dealing with these people are the first to say, something happened to this person. This is not a fantasy. This is not something the person cooked up. This was an event in that person's life which was truly upsetting.
These experiences are not pleasant experiences. This is not something I'm happy happened to me. There's a part of me that would love to find the answer that it was something else.
It's a very lonely place to be.
She's got her hand
to have this experience and not be able to remember the details and not know if it's real. And it's very, very hard to walk through life with this kind of a secret.
Even some of the most skeptical members of the psychiatric profession agree that the abduction phenomenon is not a hoax, but the causes for these stories are to be found not in alien spacecraft, but right here on Earth. When we return, Sightings finds evidence that at least some UFO encounters may be the result of top-secret experiments the government doesn't want you to know about.
Coming up, what's hidden in Area 51? Many claim it's the U.S. military's own top-secret UFOs.
We have things out there that are literally out of this world.
For years, the U.S. government has had a standing policy. It would neither confirm nor deny the existence of UFOs. Their non-cooperation has been interpreted by many ufologists as evidence of a government conspiracy to cover up UFO sightings. Now, Sightings has uncovered information that provides another explanation for their silence. Many UFO sightings may actually be top-secret military aircraft the government doesn't want you to know about.
When I first saw the UFO, it was directly overhead, moving incredibly slowly. The shape of it was half a triangle.
And all of a sudden, over at the hill, this enormous pattern of lights emerges.
I was just in awe of what I'd seen because I didn't know what it was and I'd never seen anything like it.
Holy cow!
There's no question that there have been sightings by military devices in space. And that gets us right to the UFO question. Are we dealing with a cosmic Watergate?
He's definitely
which I maintain that we are.
What the hell was that? I don't know. It was neat. It was like leaving stuff behind it, wasn't it? For the past 25 years, the United States government, especially the Air Force, has been telling us these things don't exist.
I feel that there's been so much controversy about cover-ups and UFO phenomena and everything that goes on.
He's taking a scare,
and I think that someone needs to point out that a lot of it is just hogwash.
Anybody says the United States government is not withholding information about flying saucers simply isn't telling the truth, or they're totally ignorant one way or the other.
Also.
Our most recent investigation has concentrated on a series of sightings in the western United States. Sightings has learned that many UFOs spotted in California and Nevada may actually be highly classified military experiments called black projects. Sources familiar with these black projects, many of whom wish to remain anonymous, have told us that the military is now experimenting with aerospace technology beyond our wildest dreams.
The objects we're talking about are zipping around and doing hard angled turns, acute angled turns. In order to do that, it must be controlling gravity. And therefore, what you're talking about is a spacecraft, not an aircraft.
I think you have to be careful not to confuse what's mysterious with what is virtually supernatural. Certainly some of these things are going to look very strange. They're very unlike aircraft with which people are familiar.
Well, certainly the history of the flying saucer phenomena suggests that in the past, classified programs resulted in a lot of reports of flying saucers. And if you see all of the instances where conventional aircraft have been misinterpreted as flying saucers, it's quite easy to understand how unconventional aircraft could receive a similar misinterpretation.
In the Nevada desert, we have things that would make George Lucas envious. We have things out there that are literally out of this world.
Most aeronautical black projects reportedly operate out of this test site located at Groom Lake in Nevada.
Yeah, that's all.
This installation is also known as Area 51, or Dreamland.
The government denies the very existence of Area 51, but these photographs do prove there is an installation at Groom Lake.
They have a hangar near the south end of the ramp that appears to have doors that are almost 200 feet tall, 400 feet wide. You can put anything in there. One of the problems associated with Groom Lake is the fact that it is a place that does not officially exist.
This federal official insisted on hiding his identity.
Area 51 is the most tightly secured installation in this country. It's guarded both over the air and on the ground by elite Air Force security police and Department of Energy special response teams. They're heavily armed, and their total mission is to keep people off of this installation.
It's an ideal place for top secret, highly classified military projects, to refine them, to take them to the next level. This is the place. You have deep, deep desert valleys, high mountain ranges to camouflage and mask these things when they fly. The military is the top dog here in Nevada, no doubt about it. They run the show.
If someone came to me and said there's just absolutely nothing that secret, and they decided they were going to hike into Area 51, I think that could be the biggest and perhaps the last mistake they are going to make in their life.
Are these people still locked into a Cold War mentality? Is that the point here? Or are they really hiding something that's totally alien? Is this otherworldly technology that's being applied to Air Force black projects?
One of the most recent black projects to be leaked to the media has been dubbed Aurora. The few facts revealed so far about Aurora's speed and maneuverability are tantalizing. Rumors about Aurora first started after thousands of people in Southern California reported feeling earthquakes. Seismologists found that the tremors were not earthquakes, but were caused by sonic booms. The booms were the first hard evidence that high-speed, unidentified aircraft were operating over the western United States.
We really can't tell what's moving. The only thing we see is the sonic boom, and that's telling us that something is moving faster than the speed of sound. So actually, we can't even tell it's an airplane.
The sonic booms were tracked and found to be heading toward Nevada. At the same time, witnesses described an increasing number of UFOs that defied the laws of aerodynamics. If they are top-secret military aircraft, where is this new technology coming from?
The technology is incredible. A Mach 6 airplane, unmanned aerial vehicle performing these incredibly banked.
There's record in 1950 of something doing 9,000 miles per hour on the radar.
High-speed turns. It boggles the mind. Yeah, I think it could possibly be something otherworldly or at least borrowed alien technology. I don't put that beyond the realm.
Top-secret testing of experimental aircraft does provide a compelling explanation for many UFO sightings. But what about sightings which occur in remote areas far from military bases, or sightings in which eyewitnesses claim personal contact? Further investigation is needed to provide a more complete answer to the UFO question.
Coming up, a sightings viewer asks us to investigate a sinister entity that haunts her family's home.
My little girl's
Alien force is mutilating America's livestock.
No.
Do anything.
Is that so?
Recently, one of our viewers called it was benign, harming her children. Office of Paranormal Investigating cited this ghost investigation. Good night.
Been removed from the animals and all without blood.
The UFO special next.
I'm Tim White. Tonight, UFO experts who conduct serious research have a whole vocabulary to describe their formative science. One term you may not be familiar with is flap. A flap occurs when UFOs appear in waves over a specific area for a specific period of time. The appearance of flaps has sinister overtones for ufologists who believe these recurring sightings have a secret and perhaps deadly agenda. All around the globe, there are certain places that seem to act as natural UFO magnets. These areas are attracting flaps, or waves of UFOs, that may last for years. There are hotspots in Russia, Europe, and in South America, the heavily populated city of Sao Paulo has had hundreds of sightings by thousands of people. These flaps have prompted researchers to try to find a common pattern or motive.
Anybody who studies this soon becomes almost desperate to understand a pattern or to impose some purpose on the phenomenon.
In the United States, sightings are widespread and occur almost nightly. America's #1 hotspot is Gulf Breeze, Florida. Ralph Fuller's sighting in 1988 was among thousands of others, but Ralph was the first to capture a UFO on tape.
I don't know what that is out there over the Gulf, but we just had a real bright light. I think it might be a flying saucer.
They seem to spawn one another. The two went to 3 and 4, and ultimately, over a matter of maybe a couple of minutes' time, there were 10 of these lights out over the Gulf. And they seemed to be in some semblance of a formation, but still in all, there was no movement whatsoever, no noise, no sound, nothing of that sort. You see nothing but the Gulf of Mexico. The nearest point of land would be the Yucatan Peninsula. And there were no boats or anything of that type in the area either.
These are sky watchers, amateur UFO enthusiasts in the Gulf Breeze area who go out almost every night of the week with cameras and binoculars in search of UFOs.
What makes a good sky watching area, for one, is a good field of view. That is, being able to have an unobstructed view of the skyline, and ideally you'd like to be away from city lights, but that's not always possible. So we go out in the evening and take our chances, and you may have a relaxing evening out under the stars, and then you may be blessed with a sighting. We just never know. We've seen the amber-colored lights, 8 lights in a perfect circle gliding and performing maneuvers in the sky. We've seen rows of lights suggesting lights perhaps around the periphery of a craft.
There are UFO hotspots all over the country. Gulf Breeze, certainly, but also here in New York State near a little town called Pine Bush. And the hotspots here near Pine Bush, according to one scientist, have a very special meaning.
Bruce Cornett is a geologist who lives near Pine Bush, New York. After numerous significant sightings of UFOs near his home, he began studying the area with an electromagnetometer.
What I found is that these magnetic anomalies are in specific patterns. And all of the UFO activity, the landings, the sightings where they are taking off and landing, when we've been able to identify specific areas, are associated with these magnetic anomalies.
Are you suggesting that nature created homing devices deep in the ground?
No, I think that it's a reverse. If we are dealing with an alien culture and they are doing something underground, they're using the natural magnetic anomalies to disguise their own magnetic signals.
Are you saying there are, or could be, aliens in the Earth?
I'm not saying it's certain. It is definitely possible, based on what I've seen.
Do you realize how that sounds?
I don't like the idea just simply because it is so outrageous. Then I would have to also add some of the photographic data that I have that shows, at least in one particular case, a UFO going up at a 7-degree dive right down into the ground, what appears to be.
Ellen Crystal has been investigating the Pine Bush flap since the early 1980s. In her book, Silent Invasion, she documents hundreds of UFO encounters in the area. Working independently, her findings seem to coincide with those of Bruce Cornett.
These ships kept coming back to the same fields night after night after night, the same places in the woods. Also, we had experiences where we clearly heard somebody drilling in the woods at night, and this is private property. It seems that there's something being constructed underground, such as an artificial installation of some type.
One of the most well-documented sightings in history occurred in Pine Bush on August 6, 1992.
We think in excess of 1,000 people may have seen 2, 3 ships or 4 ships where I took video and all the police departments across the whole lower New York State area were simply inundated with just hundreds and hundreds of calls.
We looked over the top of the trees, and there was this object there out of nowhere. This great big object. It was about 300 foot wide, the size of a football field hanging over your head, and about 300 foot off the ground.
We looked at our clocks, and we had 3 battery-running clocks, 2 in the kitchen and 1 in the living room. And for some strange reason, all 3 clocks were stopped at the same time.
Just about everyone in Pine Bush has seen a UFO. In his barbershop, Butch Hunt hears a lot of stories from eyewitnesses about strange alien encounters.
About 60% of the people around here, I think, have seen something. And some talk about it and some don't. They're just afraid to talk about it. Afraid of ridicule and intimidation. The one that we saw was over at Red Mills Bridge. And there were 6 of us in the car. But it just so nice. It just glided right over the trees. And we just got out and stood there. Just gawked at it. And nobody said a word. But the whole episode was probably 30 seconds. But it was huge. It was bigger than the bridge. UFOs are cited by all kinds of people, including the most credible professionals that you can find. In addition, when we have multiple witnesses who all tell the same story, then we can say, well, that's probably a pretty good report. If we have enough detail in a given report that we can rule out all of the normal explanations. It's not the planet Venus, it's not the Aurora Borealis or a meteor. It's not an aircraft that we can name. Then we are talking something very incredible.
No one disputes that there have been unidentified flying objects sighted around the world. Where ufologists and skeptics differ is in how they interpret these sightings. Some skeptics believe that all UFOs are really conventional aircraft, while others see a deliberate hoax. But just how common are UFO hoaxes, and how do the experts weed them out?
Each year, there are more than 10,000 UFO sightings reported in the United States alone. Many of those sightings are documented on film or videotape. But how many of these sightings are genuine, unidentified, and unexplainable flying objects? Sightings has received hundreds of photographs, films, and tapes of supposed UFOs. The experts we use to analyze these reports are very careful in determining what they consider to be credible.
UFO photographs that are hoaxed are hard to do. When there are hoaxes, we can find them.
With the use of sophisticated equipment, expert UFO analysts try to methodically separate fact from fantasy, genuine UFO from obvious hoax.
There's some basic techniques that are used to hoax UFO pictures. Overlays, pace-up, small models, optical technology, electronic technology. In fact, the library is full of techniques on special effects.
Many videotaped images appear genuine, but careful analysis and scrutiny often prove otherwise. This tape received by Sightings was analyzed by Dilatoso.
This is a good example of a very well done, well executed hoax of a UFO. You'll notice here on the edges that the edge here, this edge, this one, are all the same number of pixels. When they are very similar, as they are in this picture, it indicates that it's a small object close to the camera. Point of the story, this is a model.
First of all, they're all potential hoaxes to begin with. So if the picture looks too good, it probably was staged.
Now that cameras are in the hands of the general public and most everyone has one, we are finding that there is an increase in the availability of videos of UFOs. You can't just say, oh, this is a hoax. As a scientist, it's your obligation to finish the question and the answer. If it is a hoax, how did they do it?
When I first got into this, I used to think that there was considerable hoaxing. But over the years, I've discovered that there's a whole lot less hoaxing than we assumed, and that the situation is probably reversed. Maybe 20% are deliberate hoaxes, perpetrated by somebody for some purpose of his own, and maybe 30% are misperceptions, and the rest seem to be real unknowns to me.
We have to thank the people that do hoaxes because they help us understand the other side too, and what purposes there may be in real UFOs coming here. It's a tremendous mystery we're trying to solve.
Despite careful analysis and overwhelming evidence, there are some people who refuse to believe in the existence of any space encounters. Case in point, there are still people who are dedicated to proving that Neil Armstrong's moon landing in 1969 was a hoax, staged, they say, by Hollywood.
Coming up, what sinister alien force is mutilating America's livestock?
Sex organs have been removed from the animals, and all without blood.
Our exclusive UFO report continues next.
Yeah, it's probably...
Those reports of abduction and close encounters are not the only potential evidence of alien visitation. Ufologists believe the Nazca lines of Peru and crop circles are also forms of UFO communication. Now, after more than 20 years of study, some experts believe further proof of extraterrestrials on Earth can be found in the bizarre deaths of cattle.
The cut on her jawbone was just real sharp, precise cut.
A large incision, removing its sex organs, rectum had been cored out, tail cut off.
Her milk sac had been cut out on the left side in an oval about the size of a basketball.
It's a mystery that remains unexplained after 30 years of investigation. Some claim alien forces are responsible. Others claim cult activity or secret government testing. Cattle mutilation. The most recent outbreak appears to have been in a 3-county area of northeastern Alabama. Over 50 cases of mutilation have been reported in just the past 6 months. Organs appear to have been removed with surgical precision. So far, the farmers in the area have lost more than $40,000 in livestock. With such tremendous losses, the police department in Fife, Alabama, has launched an intensive investigation.
Vampires.
Ted Oliphant is a Fife police officer who has personally investigated more than 30 cattle mutilation cases.
We're finding the same thing over and over again. The sex organs have been removed from the animals, the tongues have been cut out of them, the jaw has been stripped into oval, clean to the bone, and all without blood.
Who or what is responsible for the seemingly ritualistic slaughter of these cattle? Researchers have little to go on beyond these decomposing carcasses. And despite attempts to prove that a sinister force is at work here, some experts believe the mutilations are all the result of natural causes.
It leads us to think maybe that animal is getting mutilated, but what's happening is predators, vultures, are also involved with that process.
The indication that the predators are not responsible for these animals being cut on is the evidence of high heat at the excision, evidence of high heat in excess of several hundred degrees or more, according to the pathologist who studied the tissue samples.
That pathologist is Dr. John Altshuler. He has studied suspect cattle tissue for the last 4 years.
The tissue at the incisional areas is very firm and very hard and looks burned. And the microscopic evidence
on this edition of Sightings
is that heat has been applied, and predators, to my knowledge, cannot do that.
Here we have a photomicrograph taken of the hide from an animal where we've had evidence of burning. The arrow shows a pink color to the tissue underneath the lining of the hide. As we move towards the cut area, you notice a definite color change from pink down here to blue up here. This is a very typical change of exposure of tissue to heat.
Other unusual evidence has been found at some alleged mutilation sites. A white flaky substance was recovered from one Alabama location. Officer Oliphant had it analyzed at one Eastern university.
And they determined that it was composed of aluminum, titanium, silicon, and oxygen. Aluminum and oxygen, or aluminum oxide, is what's used in the styptic pencil that I use if I've cut myself after shaving, and that stops bleeding. Perhaps that has something to do with why the animals don't have blood on them at the excision lines.
In more than half of the Alabama cases,
Farmers report seeing an unmarked helicopter leaving the scene just before or after a cattle mutilation.
I had a chopper in behind my barn. Had all my cattle rounded up in behind the barn. The chopper, when it appeared, it was kind of unordinary. It looked like it's sitting on a box, you know. Of course, it was big enough to get a cow in, you know. If they catch them hovering over their cattle and pasture,
illegal.
I'd probably shoot him. Probably shoot him.
Loud helicopter noise, sounded like it was right over the trailer. Went out the front door, went over to my car, reached under the seat, pulled out a handgun. I walked towards the edge of the trailer. I saw the helicopter. It's a light blue helicopter, no markings, no numbers, and it was hovering about 15 foot above the tree. I dropped my holster, and the helicopter veered off.
I think the greatest mystery of this case is the lack of physical evidence that we found at the sites. Only in one case did we find that white flaky material. We haven't been able to find footprints, we haven't been able to find tracks or wheel marks or anything to indicate that anybody's even been in there. How do you explain that? We can't.
My tendency to believe is it's something of a lot higher intelligence than what we've got in normal everyday occurrence around here.
Don't really have any ideas who could be doing it or the reasons behind it, you know. You could get most of the parts they removed from a slaughterhouse for free, you know.
Yes, sir, I run a meat processing plant, and I made a statement that I would donate them jawbone, the blood, their rectum, and whatever, you know, if they just asked me for it, and then they wouldn't have to kill these farmers' cattle like they do.
Despite the willingness of the ranchers to cooperate with authorities in a larger scale investigation, most government officials are sticking to the predator theory. They do not believe that high tension lines in the area are somehow related to the mutilations. They also deny charges that the government is mutilating cattle in order to support new technology, replacing human blood with bovine blood. And what about the unmarked helicopters? Do they point to the existence of a conspiracy?
I think the helicopters are doing the same thing we're doing on the ground. I think they're investigating who's doing this. They're trying to find out too. And because of their behavior, it's obvious that they'd rather have us think that they're doing it than what's actually happening.
Whoever or whatever is responsible may never be known. The silent testimony of these mutilation victims has not been able to resolve the mystery.
One of the most intriguing aspects of our investigation is what we didn't find. The moment our sightings team arrived in Fife, the mutilations stopped. Right. Did our presence scare someone or something away? Or was it merely coincidence that our investigation coincided with an end to this bizarre phenomenon?
Coming up, can life exist in outer space? A bizarre growth discovered on a satellite brought back from space has scientists baffled.
In some cases, it looks somewhat like a fungus or a mold.
Well, that's
brought back priceless data from outer space. Recently, one NASA satellite was retrieved after being lost in space for 6 years. That satellite brought back something scientists have never seen before, and so far, can't explain.
Scientists are puzzled by the unidentified space growth and excited at the prospect of what may be a new life form recovered from the exterior of a satellite.
The growth is a very interesting phenomenon. It's not exactly identified yet, but it's still in preliminary stages at this point.
The growth appeared on an LDEF, the abbreviation for Long Duration Exposure Facility. Basically, a satellite designed to expose and test materials in outer space.
It is a gradient growth that generates from an area in which the covered portion of the LDEF was located at. And as you can see specifically right in this area, you get a very silvery looking area to a very dark brown into a brownish white kind of area.
In that area, scientists found microscopic fibers. When they were magnified by a high-powered scanning microscope, mysterious images were revealed.
In some cases, it looks somewhat like either like a fungus or a mold, at least to some of us.
What came back on this satellite appears to be organic, but some researchers believe the growth is merely the result of a battery leak on board the craft. Others point to the fibers as proof that the growth is organic and that strange new life forms may exist in outer space.
You mix of both.
If you've had a paranormal experience, call the Sightings Hotline at 1-900.
Could be a battery leak that somehow worked as a catalyst to
entity leaves a bloody trail.
Sally, stop it.
On tape, it's a
skip
People are in here.
According to Pamela,
Yeah, I feel her beating.
Yeah, those people are all
on
crazy.
sightings.
Go without warning or reason. Frustrating. But the current case in the Midwest is clearly different. From day one, the crew was experiencing unexpected
like a narrow. Oh, that's
of Sally. Were in the process.
Yeah.
Unprecedented daylight sightings captured on tape.
Here we go. Yeah, those ghost people are probably crazy.
Joining me now is Sightings Director Greg Cook. Greg supervised the crew on site during our investigation. Greg, you've earned your stripes in the news business for a long time. You've worked for 60 Minutes and elsewhere. Has anything like this ever happened before?
Never, Tim. The frightening thing was that it happened early in the day at 10 o'clock in the morning with all of the movie lights on and all the people through the house. Bib on it would not attach the
Mr. Gaynor, you've had a chance.
Found in the testimony he was
7 elements of our government have been absolutely aware that we have non-human, highly advanced intelligence visiting this planet. If the secret is impossible to keep, then we must find a way to adjust to this extraordinary oddity. Bottom line is, at all costs, preserve the social order. That has always been the stakes. And of course, those are very high stakes. Those are war stakes, okay? We're looking at a war here.
They won't go away. The latest Gulf Breeze sightings are adding an ominous new layer to the UFO story. Sightings has obtained exclusive photographs and videotapes of mysterious craft flying in broad daylight. This new evidence is among the most significant UFO footage ever recorded.
The photo and video evidence that we've recently seen from Gulf Breeze is far more important than all the previous UFO photo and video evidence combined.
It used to be just another resort town in southern Florida, but Gulf Breeze has changed. Vacationing families drawn to the area's tropical waters and white sand beaches aren't the only visitors in the area. For nearly a decade, the name Gulf Breeze has become synonymous with UFOs.
It's been going on almost continuously since 1987. It is not a flash-in-the-pan situation.
The clusters of sightings over Gulf Breeze are taking on a new look. Rare daylight events have UFO researchers scrambling for an explanation.
We now are going through a series, it seems, of daylight sightings.
I've
and
seen
the
a daylight
sightings
one.
have almost completely diminished.
90% of all reported or recorded UFO sightings occur at night. Only 10% are seen during daytime hours and are rarely captured on tape or film. Along with the increase in daylight sightings has been an increase in the number of eyewitness reports.
The people in the community who have said that they've seen UFOs are people like doctors and lawyers and real estate people, and it's just not a bunch of lunatics running around saying that they saw lights in the sky. Well, it's very different.
That lawyers are probably.
This is not a movie. It is actual footage of a UFO seen over Gulf Breeze in broad daylight.
The daylight sightings that we've had of the last year have all been authenticated. The photographs, the videos, the witnesses have all proved positive.
Here in Gulf Breeze, there's so many sightings and there's so much going on. Either you have to go on with your life or you let it just drive you crazy. And so I've just chose to go on with my life.
On November 28, 1993, Ed Walters, a successful local contractor, saw bright flashes of light in the afternoon sky. He grabbed his home video camera and drove toward the lights.
I actually drove down to the public beach, got out of my truck and calmly walked out onto the beach, hoping that I might see these bright flashes once again. Walking along here towards the west. Continued to scan around, look around, panning around here. 360, there's the sand dunes, that's the north. Oh, geez, goodness gracious.
One's right there.
It appeared and flew in from the north, hovered out over the beach, over the shoreline, and
I didn't see
I
it.
dashed over towards the sand dunes and dropped to my knees and started filming it.
This is what Ed Walters captured on videotape. The shaded, disc-shaped object appears to hover overhead, then abruptly disappears.
There she is, right there. Oh my God, just hovering right there. Oh, Jesus, when you know it.
Jeff Sainio is a video analyst with MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. Recognized worldwide as an expert in his field, Sainio believes Walters' tape is authentic.
Notice particularly when he sees the object, how the oscilloscope shows that the camera was indeed bounced around. You'll see a lot of video disturbance there, which is typical of a raw video of a camera that's been bounced around. That eliminates editing as a possibility for creating this thing.
There she is, right there.
Ed Walters is no stranger to UFO documentation. He snapped the first Gulf Breeze UFO photograph in 1987. He also took this picture, which he believes is a near miss between a UFO and a fighter jet.
And the jet was continuing on and passed right, looked to me like it was headed right at the UFO.
Ed Walters has come under fire from skeptics who do not believe that one man could have seen and documented so many significant UFO events. But Walters is not bothered by charges that he is a sophisticated hoaxer.
There are some people who just absolutely will not consider the evidence. They will kill the messenger. Judge me if you will, but the fact is, I videotaped and saw.
He's rich and he just hangs out on the beach.
With enough time, money, luck, and skill, anything can be faked. But unless Ed Walters has Steven Spielberg as a brother-in-law to fake this video, 2 different types of photographs, would be extremely difficult for an ordinary man to fake.
Walters isn't the only one to document a daytime sighting. This footage was shot by a Gulf Breeze resident who chooses to remain anonymous. He gave the tape and his story to local reporter Bland Pugh.
The UFO, as he observed it, came out of the southeast.
That's a fake name.
It moved over his head at an incredibly fast speed and disappeared out to the northwest. This particular sighting in itself was a landmark sighting in that it actually showed the UFO disappearing or leaving, as it were.
See it coming in here, it's very indistinct, appears to be moving relatively slowly. So here's a slowdown of the same video, object hovering or motionless, zips off instantaneously, barely make it out as it zips off to the right. The object was about 3 miles away on the left side, got up to about 2 miles away on the right side, was doing about 4,000 miles an hour.
Still another documented sighting comes from an eyewitness known only as Philip. The flight pattern is similar to that on the other videotapes, and so is the shape of the craft.
The various videos corroborate each other. They corroborate previous witness testimony. And so the pieces of the puzzle all fit together.
Military bases in the area may have information about what is flying above southern Florida. But every attempt to obtain comment from the military is not only denied, it is ignored.
It could be that the military is tied into this. I'm not accusing, nor am I saying they are covering up. I'm just saying that they've just kept their mouth shut.
I do believe there is a growing pattern of contact which suggests that we are getting closer to actually meeting the neighbors. Gulf Breeze is part of that pattern.
We will be back with more sightings in just a moment.
Next on Sightings.
The recomposer of the decomposed.
Okay, yeah.
Teenage murder victim.
And the material gets accelerated. Concept to grasp, very esoteric.
That shortcut is through a black hole.
I don't believe in black holes. Yeah, I can put some kind of Sean Connery in there. Your mother's got a black hole, Sonny. Yeah, so no, it's funny I can watch so many videos and not learn anything. I didn't learn a goddamn thing. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this alien conspiracy. It's been in the works for almost 100 years, more than 100 years. I mean, what's his name said it in 1917. What's his name? What the fuck is this? John Dewey. We need to join forces to stop the alien invasion or some bullshit. We don't know what the fuck's going on. I mean, that's basically what's going on. We don't know if it's real or if it's all bullshit or, I mean, I would say that it's an elaborate trick. I mean, that would be the most likely explanation. It's all a very elaborate trick. I'm not sure how they're doing it or why, unless it's simply world conquest. They get everybody to believe in the aliens, and then they get everybody to surrender to the aliens that don't exist. I mean, it's a pretty brilliant plan. I mean, if that's what their plan is. I mean, if they get Russia to surrender, then so mote it be. Yeah, Russia's had us under its fucking thumb for fucking quite some time. Well, I mean, that is if the intelligence apparatus isn't just totally controlling Russia, milking it, and pretending to control us through Russia. I mean, that's the question. The it's like, oh, why was fucking what's his name going to Moscow, Mister the fuck is his name? The fucking JFK dude, Lee Harvey. What the fuck was he doing going to Moscow? I'd say that he was working for Moscow. And then Moscow pretends to leak documents claiming other stuff. I mean, the whole thing is fishy. The well, I guess we're not really talking about that. I mean, unless JFK was really merged because he was going to talk about the aliens. I mean, if they're real or if it's fake. I mean, if it. I'm not saying I believe in aliens. Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely UFOs, but I'd assume that they're some kind of government crafts. And that I would assume that they probably searched all sorts of space and haven't found shit. Or, I mean, it could be the total opposite. Fucking. I mean, it's all a big question of wonder why, And part of the alien psyop could be to try to turn a bunch of people into atheists. Not that I promote or deny religion. But I mean, technically, it's usually people when they're like, "Oh, aliens are real," that means there's nothing else. They can't believe in aliens and the ghost world, or well, I mean, technically you don't want to believe in anything. I mean, I believe some kind of God made the universe, but it's not connected to any religion or anything. I mean, I could put another video on, but I think I'm just going to sit here and babble. Yeah, the UFO phenomenon. It's such a huge subject. I mean, was the movie Men in Black created as propaganda to bring up the alien bullshit? I mean, how many movies were there done that were involved with the military? I mean, technically, the military claimed, NASA claimed that if Men in Black didn't mention Area 51, that they would help them make the movie. And that I think that's it could have been a cover to make people think that NASA wasn't helping them or whatever, just to play it off like it wasn't. I mean, the whole spiel of everything. I mean, I'm sure you've all listened to William Cooper's NASA Moon to America episodes about the pictures and moon pictures all being fake. I speculate they went there in something else, that their suits were different, or maybe even they didn't even get out. They couldn't get out. I mean, that's all. See, I mean, technically, okay, so if you're on the moon, there's no atmosphere, and that would mean that the pressure would be zero because you'd still be in a vacuum. And so, if you're in a vacuum, that your blood would boil instantly, and that the if they were in a vacuum, their suits for the air conditioning to work would need a heat exchange, and for the heat exchange to work, there would have to be an atmosphere. Do you see? So their air conditioners couldn't work. It's not possible unless there was an atmosphere. Which there's been pictures taken to the moon with clouds before. Unless the moon has an atmosphere. I mean, that's the whole thing about it. I mean, because say you were in a vacuum, you were wearing one of those space suits, you're on the moon. You're telling me that spacesuit wouldn't just go from the vacuum? There's no way. The oxygen would just, they would have to be in some kind of solid titanium mech suit or some shit. There's just no way. Then there's if you've ever watched the HBO special on Apollo 13, I remember when it was on TV. Oh, they said the walls of the spacecraft was that thick, and they about a quarter inch, and that if you were in space in a vacuum in a giant tin can, and that a tiny speck of dust or any debris whatsoever, no matter what the size, if it went into this, if it hit the side of the craft would be ruptured. That there would be a breach of the hull. There's no way that they would, and we're not even getting into the fucking radiation levels. That the craft itself had no radiation protection. The suits had no radiation protection. There's no way that went there in a craft, unless they were in something that could skip reality, and like if you were to skip a stone or something, something that would go direct, something that could teleport. I mean, that's what if those UFOs weren't using cloaking devices, then they were obviously teleporting. The UFO that I seen during the day, it was the middle of the day, probably 3 in the afternoon, and it was a fucking giant cigar tube, and it was pure chrome, no fucking rivets, no windows, no propulsion. And then it just fucking vanished instantly. And it was there for like 10, 15 seconds, and then it was gone instantly. And then I know exactly what I seen. If my ex was here, she would testify exactly what she's seen. And that fucking UFO fucking giant fucking ship thing. I don't know what it was. I mean, I can't say what it was, but I would assume that it's man-made, that it's got cloaking, that it turned the cloaking on. Obviously, the cloaking failed temporarily or something. And if there's one of those things, I guarantee there's more. There's more of those cigar tube cloaked crafts flying around. Who knows what they are? I mean, it could be, they're most likely some kind of drones. But I mean, the thing was huge. Could have been like a mobile laboratory or something. Some kind of mobile unit. Who knows what the fuck it was? Some people have seen, there's even videotapes of disc-shaped crafts fly and stack into a giant tube, cigar tube, and that they and then it flies off all at once. I've seen the videos. That's not what I seen in real life. I just seen a cigar tube. I didn't see anything else. I mean, during the day, I should say. At night, I seen an orange orb craft with glowing orange that was like it was a fork in the microwave color. It was it was making maneuvers that were absolutely impossible. It's flying up, and then it started going like that, and then it fucking like flew straight up. It went to Mach 50 or some shit. I mean, it was fast. It was. I would guarantee that it was going faster than the speed of light, because it was faster than a lightning bolt. It was fucking, once it started going, it was fucking like fucking, it was like, it was going straight, and then it like started to go like a fucking, like it was about to like launch or something. It was, and then it just straight up launched, and you could see the trail of it, and it went, and there was no clouds in the sky, not one cloud in the sky. It was absolutely clear sky, fucking, and it went fucking like straight up, and fucking it went into the stars. And then I looked at my ex and said, "You're fucking crazy." And fucking, I left her there in the yard. I mean, I wasn't gonna stand out there. Fuck that. I've seen some weird shit. I'm not. The bitch was crazy. I mean, she wasn't though, 'cause she really seen a UFO, and it was spooky as hell. But I mean, I would still assume that it's some kind of, some kind of government technology or something. Uh, I mean, I could see some kind of. I mean, the way it moved, it seemed pretty janky. It seemed like it was pretty rigged together or something. Like they didn't, I don't know. It was weird because the other one that I seen that was red, it was just moving back and forth, but it was it wasn't like red. It was more like it looked like it was like the shape of a cookie or something, and it was and it looked like it was made out of velvet or something, but it looked like it was like chameleon paint but velvet or something. Two tone. It was it kept going like fucking kept jumping. It was weird. It kept like going back and forth in the sky trying to like I don't know, it was weird. It was really weird. It was because it would do it real quick. It was like you know it's very bizarre. Well, I mean, technically, I've seen something else that could be classified as a UFO. Me and my friend were tripping like 1998 on mushrooms, and we were parked on the side of a dirt road. We were tripping our brains out, fucking. Not really. I mean, I ate like 19 grams, and then he ate 25 grams, and then well, we're standing on the side of the road, and fucking what I seen was fucking straight up something like a looked like a ribbon or something. Looked like a giant ribbon. It was fucking like it wrapped around my friend, and then it went into the sky, and it was like, and then he fell down, and he was all freaking out. And he started freaking out when he knew that I seen it too. And it was really weird. It was like a fucking like a giant fucking fruit roll up or something that was some kind of fruit roll up ghost worm thing. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was really weird. Because I mean, like I was really tripping, but I wasn't seeing anything. All the crickets were making the buzz amplify and stuff, but and it may seem like we ate a lot, but it was like 1999 or some shit, and technically they were like half moist a little bit. The but I mean that could be classified as a UFO. I mean it was also it was a bizarre experience. I remember right after I seen it, I didn't have a buzz at all because it was so freaky. The totally lost my buzz. It's like, man, what the fuck was that? Like, this shit was weird. I mean, like, people talk about all sorts of stuff. People that fly or people that sit out on boats or something. All you know, sailors and shit. I mean, when I was young, I used to sit in the woods all the time. Be in the woods all day in the woods, just sitting there. Well, I mean, not just sitting. I'd be walking around and shit, but you sit in the woods long enough, you might see something weird. I mean, I never really seen nothing weird in the woods, but well, I seen some zombie deer. That was pretty weird. The the wilderness though. I mean, I don't know. I swear I was in the woods once. There's fucking cougar or something following me and my friends when we were walking in the dark down this old railroad bed. Whoa. Yeah, I mean, you sit anywhere as long enough, you're bound to see something weird, you know? And like, that's why I always bring up that ghost story at the fucking graveyard. This shit was weird. I mean, that shit was fucking. I used to go there and smoke a joint like every night at that fucking graveyard. Every night I would go and smoke a joint and fucking, and then I seen the fucking ghost and fucking, something walking with no legs and shit. And I was just like, I just got the fuck out of there. I mean, that was. I mean, people could say I'm a liar or whatever, making stuff up, but I mean, uh, the yeah, that shit was fucking weird. I mean, because I thought I believed in ghosts, you know, before I seen that shit, and fucking, and then I realized that I definitely didn't believe in ghosts because I never thought I could see anything like that. Some kind of, some kind of fucking, it looked like a fucking hologram. It was fucking, it was like a 3D hologram, but it's like the lower half was you couldn't see nothing. You could see right through it, and but it was like literally a fucking hologram, just like when you watch the fucking hologram Tupac or some shit. It looked just like that, but it was all white. It was all white skin, and it had old timey clothes. You know, like the hat was you could see like the hat had like mink. It was like mink fur. It's one of those old hats that you see in the museums, but it was way taller than any hat I've ever seen. And it was definitely creepy. I mean, it was I'd say it's like the top 10 creepiest things I've ever seen. I mean, I've seen some creepy shit, but that was definitely fucking the creepiest of the creepy. That was like, oh Jesus, like there's fucking so that was like a Thomas the Doubter type of scenario, you know, like fucking seeing a ghost, you know. I mean, because like there was definitely nobody out there, fucking, you know, there was nothing. Nobody was out there. It was out in the middle of fucking nowhere. There was no way that there was somebody out there. I mean, I used to go and just cruise back roads, cruise dirt roads all the time, and fucking just fucking. I mean, I'm talking like over 20 years ago, or wait, over roughly 15 years ago, I'd say. Maybe more. I don't know. Either way, fucking the shit was fucked up. I mean, any naysayers, I would say, go sit in a graveyard for an hour once a day till you see something. I'm not saying you will see something, but I mean, once you do, you won't ever want to sit in a graveyard ever again. I mean, because like I didn't have any superstition about anything, you know. No superstition whatsoever. I'm not a superstitious person. But I mean, until after seeing that ghost, I mean that shit was fucking. I mean, I'm still not afraid of ghosts or something, but that shit was just creepy. I mean, that shit was fucking. you know, if you've seen a movie where like, I mean, it literally was just like a fucking looked like a hologram. It was floating through the air because it was walking weird. You know, it was like it wasn't walking; it was floating. You didn't see footsteps, glides, or anything. There was no. I mean, it was. It blew my mind so hardcore that fucking sitting here babbling on about it for 6 minutes. my my old lady, she's got a picture that was her friends in college or something, and that they took their picture and put it on Facebook in front of a mirror. And in the picture, there was a white face that was in the corner of the picture under the girl's arm, and that there was nobody else in the picture, and that face was a ghost face. And fucking I could bring the picture up, but it's creepy, so I don't fucking. And these chicks were retarded. There's no way. Well, I'm not calling my old lady retarded, but her friends are retarded, and that there's no way they were able to Photoshop some kind of face like that. They're so clean. It was. I mean, there's well, I mean, what's crazy is how they get all the ridicule from skepticism. Well, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe, but anyways, the so two of my friends back like 25 years ago, they're like, "Oh, we're super skeptic, blah blah," and then fucking, like one of our friends passed away, and then all of a sudden they just think everything is ghosts or some shit, and it's like, and I'm sitting there like, I don't believe it. There was like a picture where there was a poster, and there was a Polaroid that was taken of the poster, and they thought the Benz in the poster was our friend passed away. And it was like, you guys are in denial. Like, you guys are. I told them I thought they were. I didn't think it looked like a ghost. I mean, I thought they were just. I thought they were full of it. I mean, but so, but they would sit and believe some kind of folds in a reflection in a poster is a ghost, but then refuse to believe other ghost stories that were real. I mean, like, there's all sorts of native lore about weird shit, stuff that goes bump in the night. What is that one called? Damn it, I can't think of the name. Damn it, I cannot think of the name. Let's see here. Yeah, there's all sorts of native legends of shit that I can't remember the name of. But one of them is about a beast that would make people turn into cannibals. The other was about a dog man that would turn into a dog. And he would. There's another of. I mean Bigfoot, but that's not where I'm. There's the legend of the Heyoka, where the person is a trickster. There's the legend of the damn, what the fuck was I getting at? The Yeah, the Cocopelli legend. There's what else? There's I mean, there's just so many different legends of supernatural beings that would come into the physical plane and speak to people and interact with them and all this. I'm just rolling another roach joint here. Yeah, I'm gonna make a song about rolling roach joints. I got the roach. uh, yeah, the how was I getting at? There better be some of that berry weed in these fucking roaches. I smoked all the berry weed. No, I'm disappointed. It was too good, and I smoked it all really fast. Now I feel retarded. I'm trying to cut back on smoking. I mean, I could smoke a bunch of roach joints, so because I got like a million uh, ashtrays full of roaches. Well, not a million, but enough to smoke joints for like a week straight. How was I getting at? The well, so I guess maybe the and a lot of the mistakes that are made with a lot of these studies about UFO phenomenon, there's not a background check of who the people are who have been witnessing these things. The some kind of comparative analysis needs to be done to create a MO of whatever the the check marks in the box, what the supposed alien abductees and all this shit. Fucking god damn it, this fucking joint. I mean, I find it very strange that Rima Labau is on sightings, and I mean, I didn't show you that episode, but she is discussing fucking alien abduction phenomenon. She's married to the Stubbledine, and fucking it all seems too perfect. Because I mean, I never really put it together when I was younger. Excuse me. the that they're because I mean it's like I've seen that X-Files episode a million times. It's like never really hit me where it's like they're doing hypnosis. They gotta be. It's the simplest explanation. There's no other and then when I started reading that mesmer shit, fucking animal magnetism, fucking hypnosis bullshit, there's always elements of it. There's elements of the symptoms of someone who's been hypnotized. Uh, and one of those elements is if say you were to interview someone that thought they were abducted by aliens or some shit on a UFO, and that you start telling them, you say no, that's not true. You're just making it all up. No, I mean, technically, if it really happened to them, they would get mad, but they would also get mad if they were faking it. And so the possibility of it actually happening is still 50-50. And but most likely Occam's razor would suggest that it's them for some reason faking it. And the most the most obvious I would suspect would be the hypnosis. The people, for example, say say the Willie Strieber, say that him and his friends went to that cabin. Say that before they went that month or within the year or whenever, at some point they visited the same shrink, and that the same shrink may have put them in a state of hypnosis and then told them implanted a memory because perhaps he had knowledge of them all going to the same cabin. And that would most likely, I got some good roaches here. All right, jackpot. That would most likely be that would most likely that'd be the down to earth, skeptic, rational thing, is to believe that the people were under hypnosis. like some of them may have seen crafts or some shit, but I'm talking about but I'm saying those are most likely man-made. That I'm talking about the alien abduction phenomenon we were talking about earlier in this episode. The people that think they had something happen to them, it's I mean, there's all sorts of oh, man, this joint tastes good. This whole hypnosis thing, that's what I was talking about, the X-Files. Jose Chung's from outer space. You better watch that episode. 'Cause these mashed potatoes, I don't even know if these mashed potatoes are real, man. The people in the episode at the beginning are supposedly abducted by aliens, and then while they're being abducted by aliens, they're abducted by other aliens, and so this would be two layers of hypnotic suggestion. That they had already had one layer of alien abduction phenomenon implanted into their minds, and then the second layer of the Cyclops alien was then implanted overlapping the next to cover up the person's encounter with the second agency. And so the pilot who was in the fucking Cyclop aliens thing, the pilot who was dressed up like an alien, who was meant to pick the people up in the X-Files episode, he stated he didn't know if it was real or if it was fake. Real or fake. He didn't know if he was hypnotized. He didn't know if it was real. Then Mulder interviews him, and the dude is like, "Oh, talking about his mashed potatoes. Not, he doesn't know if it's real. He doesn't know if the interview is real. He doesn't know if it's an implanted memory that's happening in real time." Because the writer understood how hypnosis works. The writer of that episode. Then Mulder was hypnotized, or no, Mulder wasn't hypnotized until later, but the guy at the bar interviewing Mulder was hypnotized. Then Mulder meets Scully, and Scully's with the guy from Jeopardy and Jesse Ventura, and that Scully is hypnotized, and that she gets drinks or something, and then And then Mulder is then hypnotized by Alex Trebek. And then in the damn it was there's something more to that that I'm forgetting to bring up. What was I getting at? Alex Trebek. Yeah, so the dude, the other dude, the writer gets hypnotized. The Alex Trebek and Jesse Ventura come into his garage. They drive into it backwards or something. No, they leave backwards. But like they come into his garage and then they say it wasn't a UFO you seen. It was light reflecting off from swamp gas from Venus. And that the stuff about the Masons and the cover ups, Masons calling themselves the Greys. They mention Venus, the morning star. I mean, it's all very, damn it, this roach joint's good. It's all like an elaborate fucking, I think they're using hypnosis. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I think that, whatever happened to Phil Schneider doesn't matter because I think he was hypnotized. He may have just had a big boulder or something fall on his hand and then they hypnotized him. Same thing with all sorts of people. Bob Lazar, he could have been hypnotized. He could have thought that he's seen a craft with tiny seats. And that's what he said, tiny seats. That's what Bob Lazar said. They're tiny seats. But then years later, oh, those were man-made crafts. But what about the tiny seats that you were talking about, Mr. Lazar? Unless you were brainwashed, the memories were implanted. Say that Bob Lazar did see some, but they covered it all up. Say that he just seen a man-made aircraft, and that say that because he describes saucers, not triangular crafts, from my memory. And they most likely have triangular crafts there, or some kind of orbs, not saucers. I mean, but just imagine somebody's, oh, you want to sign up for this program? Oh, we're going to hypnotize you, and you're going to think that you've seen UFOs with tiny seats and all this stuff. You're going to think that you're an engineer, like, I've got a degree. Well, where's it at? You got a degree, you got a copy of it, So usually somebody keeps a copy of their degree. Why doesn't Bob Lazar have a copy of this degree? He claims that they got rid of the evidence. If he was brainwashed into thinking that he was some kind of propulsion scientist or some shit. Or perhaps he was brainwashed by some occultist, or even himself. Maybe he unknowingly put himself into a hypnotic state of mind through some kind of post-traumatic stress, which kept occurring, and that he started to believe that he was in some kind of position of authority, of such as what he was claiming. I mean, think about far out stuff. Cooper always says, does it pass the common sense test? And that's where you gotta remember, if it doesn't pass the common sense test, then you shouldn't trust it. Therefore, aliens are not real. But I mean, so well, that brings it into interesting. Well, I mean, okay, so trying to think of how I can be my own devil's advocate in multiple ways. Yeah, how was I getting at? The whole UFO conspiracy. I mean, think of this. Imagine you're playing poker. This I was bringing up cards recently. You're playing poker. Say you got a hand. I don't know what the hand is. Let's see, 3, 4, 5. All right, you got a hand. Maybe a new hand here. You got a halfway decent hand. Let's see here. Okay, I can't seem to get a hand here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Wow, this is horrible. Okay, so you get a decent hand. Where the fuck's a decent hand at here? Okay, here we go. 1, 2. That's actually a really good hand. Okay, so you get a pair of 4s and 2 10s. This is this is all about psychology. You get a pair of 4s and 2 10s. Say you switch the jack out. Let's see what you got. No, 3. So with these pair of 4s and 2 10s, there's a bet going on. You've got a bet. There's a lot of money on the table, and that you're 7 bets in, and that everybody's still up in the bet, but they're only up in like $100 or something. I mean, that's a lot, but but so you got these 2 4s and 2 10s, and you're sitting there, and you're like, oh, maybe I should pretend like I've got a royal flush, or maybe I should pretend like I don't, and it all becomes a reverse psychology over and over. What will they think? What do they have? Do they just got a pair of whatever? Because 2 pairs beats 1 pair. And so, because poker can boil down to that type of situation a lot. Some cards with a decent hand, and that to win the gamble, you psych everyone out. Do I have 2 pairs? Are UFOs real? I don't know. Oh. 2 pairs. Place your bets. Place your bets. Here's the bet. Keep in mind, I'm metaphorically talking. I'm not saying to actually place bets. Gambling is illegal unless you're in a casino. Well, I don't know what state it is to go that all goes on, but so imagine you're placing your bet. Are aliens real? Yes or no? I would say define an alien. Could an alien be fungus? Could an alien be a ghost? Could an alien be some kind of signal? Some kind of overwhelming feeling or thought? Could that be an alien? What is the limitations of the definition of alien? That's what you gotta ask yourself. What is an alien? Is it a two-legged, two-armed, two-eyed thing? Or is it some kind of consciousness that dwells in the minds of the secret societies that invoke consciousnesses of stars? Could that be an alien? I mean, that's what you gotta ask yourself. What is this alien? Is it all just bullshit? Or they're all fucking whacked out of their fucking minds? It's an all elaborate trick with animal magnetism and hypnotism. These alien cults have, well, I don't know how long they've been going on, but definitely been going on since like the 60s at least, or 40s. The, I mean, is it all a cover up? Are the alien cults made to make people believe in aliens? Or are the alien cults in league with aliens? What are they hiding? You know, it's like if these theosophists that seem to run the world are having a consciousness invocation from their quote unquote master from the Great White Lodge on Sirius. Is that an alien? At what point does one make the... Oh, well, I mean, here's the question. If these people are all invoking something and say that it's real, we don't know what it is, it doesn't matter. If it's telling them what to do, then, well, I mean, that's pretty weird. Really strange stuff. I mean, that's bizarre. I mean, reminds me of this X-Files episode where the occultists are trying to psych Mulder and Scully out like they aren't the occultists or something. I think it was that witch episode or something. The occultists, for all we know, the occultists are bringing the UFOs. Some people claim the UFOs started from Jack Parsons. Some people claim the UFOs started from the Dead Sea Scrolls being found. Oh, some people claim it was from nukes. According to testimony, people claim that the alien spaceships are stealing water. They claim that there's some kind of water transference system that who knows what the fuck I don't know if that's all. Or perhaps perhaps it's all some kind of elaborate ruse, and that I mean, technically I've seen a video of a UFO taking water. I don't know what the fuck it is. I don't know what the fuck it is. It could be some kind of hydrogen field machine that's, logically it's most likely a hydrogen field machine which can convert its own water efficiently into pure hydrogen to travel the I mean, I would say that's most likely the case. I would say that if there was some kind of gravitational anti-gravity thing, and I would say that it probably can only go within the proximity of the Earth. But I have seen videos of NASA stuff and other stuff leaving the atmosphere, so therefore the anti-gravity would obviously be able to go into outer space. And therefore, if that's possible, then I would say that they've already been to Mars and the Moon, but not on any known aircraft, and that they've possibly been disclosing stuff to us, or they've been brainwashing everyone. The whole aliens on Mars, Total Recall thing. It's a great movie, but I mean, it's very interesting. What have they been telling us? Is there really archaeology on the moon and on Mars happening right now for the last 50 years? Or is it all just made up? And that you know, I mean, that's the thing. It was 1976. They found the face on Mars, but it was drawn in 1940 something, 1930 something. It's drawn twice by two different artists. I'm pretty sure. The Face on Mars. There's a comic, and there's another artwork from a different artist. I'm pretty sure. Drawn twice. The it's not a coincidence. The people writing the comics are involved with NASA, or it's all cover up. All right, well, I'm going to sleep. Good night.